named the 3 judges who were involved in decisions over the care of 10-year-old Sarah Sharif in the years before she was murdered by her father and stepmother. Increasing the weight of water to harness hydropower, we visit the Devon project, making the most of pushing water uphill. The bitter aftertaste at the end of dry January, as a new month brings new alcohol duties.
More allegations about Prince Andrew and his connection with an alleged Chinese spy banned from the UK. A senior aide to the Prince privately admitted to Yang Tengbo that the Duke's BBC Newsnight interview had been ill-advised and unsuccessful. Major IT problems at Barclays tonight. Customers are unable to use its online banking and app on tax self-assessment deadline day. And free at last. The humpback whale, caught up in ropes in the Inner Hebrides, has been untangled by volunteers.
Poultry farmers are calling on the government to allow them to vaccinate their flocks against bird flu amid a rise in cases across the UK. Ministers have resisted demands for an immunisation programme amid fears it could lead to a mutation in the virus, which has now been identified in at least 25 farms since October. Millions of people are being urged to complete their online self-assessment tax returns before tonight's midnight deadline or risk a £100 penalty, even if there is no tax to pay. New rules mean some people selling goods on sites like eBay and Vinted will now have to declare their earnings too. The company is required to tell HMRC about anybody selling more than 30 items or making at least £1,700. And people claiming disability benefits are receiving an unacceptably poor service from the Department for Work and Pensions. This is according to MPs. A report by the Public Accounts Committee says only around half of personal independent payment claims are processed on time. The DWP said it was reducing waiting times and providing extra help for those with additional needs.
Let's take a look at the papers. The Mirror gives its verdict on President Trump's reaction to the Washington air crash. The paper says it's shameful that he blamed it on a policy of hiring air traffic controllers from diverse backgrounds. The Daily Telegraph says more than 10% of farmland will be repurposed to help hit net zero targets in what it calls a fresh blow to rural life.
And look at The Guardian. They're looking at a report which says the epidemic of violence against women and girls is getting worse in the UK, despite years of government promises. And a look at The Eye, reporting Health Secretary Wes Streeting has told health bosses to spend more money on treating elderly people at home to prevent them from being admitted to hospital or care homes unnecessarily.
You always listen very carefully to what I say, don't you?
What's the story you're looking at?
So you know when a dog or a cat is listening, you know because there is twitch.
OK, yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
But our ears are pretty static.
OK.
Right, so you don't see... I would have no idea if you're listening to me or not.
Some people can move their ears kind of independently. I've seen people do that.
Can
anyway,
you?
Yeah,
can
I
you?
can't do that, but some people can.
So, yeah, and it says here, if you can wiggle your ears, probably a pub party piece, yeah, party trip. But we do try to prick up our ears internally when something's difficult to hear.
Hence the phrase.
Prick up your ears, exactly. Traces of our ancestors' ear-orienting system remain in what's been called the neural fossil, which is inside your ear. So it's believed that our ancestors lost that ability to move their ears 25 million years ago. However, we do it, and it's the superior auricular muscle that lifts the ear up. So it works on the inside. It lifts the ear up and outwards. And actually, so it probably is happening, we just can't see it.
So, Ben, what were the words that Naga just used a moment ago? Were you listening? What was the muscle we were talking about?
Prick up your ears.
No.
That was the
a technical term that followed.
The superior auricular muscles.
It was on the tip of my tongue. That's literally what I was about to say.
Yeah, but they do. They lift up and we have to listen to so many things here. There's so many voices in our heads and in the work ones.
What are you going to talk to us
What
about?
are you looking at?
This is to do with the cost of alcohol, isn't it? What are you talking about?
It is. It's been a long January, hasn't it? It has felt like a long, cold, wintry January.
Weather-wise, it's horrific.
And imagine for those who've been trying to stick to dry January, it's probably felt even longer. That comes to an end, obviously, 1st of February tomorrow. The thing is, there are changes to tax on alcohol and they won't necessarily be welcomed. Let me explain what's going on. Good morning. Yes, the amount of tax you have to pay on alcoholic drinks at the supermarket and the pub will be changing from tomorrow. It's an extra 2p on a 500ml bottle of average strength beer. If spirits are more your thing, a standard bottle of gin will see an extra 32p of tax. Mixed news for wine drinkers. You face paying up to an extra 54p per bottle. The stronger the wine, the more you'll pay. But those buying wines with the lowest alcohol content should see a drop in tax per bottle. That's if the retailers pass that on. And those making the drinks warn it won't be the only price changes we see this year.
The bottom line is you're going to see and feel it everywhere as a consumer. What we can't tell you is exactly when. So the new duty rates kick in on the 1st of February, but we also know there's a green tax, extended producer responsibility, coming on later down the line, and there's VAT on top of all of that as well. And of course there's cost to business. This is a very painful change for businesses. It's administratively more complicated, the new system. So yeah, we think it'll be about 80p more for a bottle of wine, about 60p more for a bottle of spirits, coming to you sometime in the next 6 months.
Now, the tax increases only apply to bottled goods. There's actually been a tax cut on draft products at pubs and restaurants. The Chancellor said a penny off a pint. And the government says doing that will help to boost a struggling hospitality sector. But the thing is, at a time when businesses are facing higher costs for energy, staffing and stock, the reality is you're unlikely to be paying less at the bar.